with the new Y-Wings, we got the I-5 Zori Bliss at 40, Taz, which I believe is the I-4. Taz is the I-4 who gives a reroll effect to friendlies, and then that's at 37. Wilsa is the other I-4 who applies strain, and then Sasha and Lega, about as bad as Marcel on these. Sasha and Lega are the I-3s who have fun things with calculating. Let's see, Akbar. Now, Akbar is the one I did want to talk about. I'm just doing a general thing. I'm gonna go back over these in a second, but oh my God, Akbar is an interesting one I wanted to touch on for a moment because it is an I2, but is one of the more expensive ones. The ability reads, after you execute a red basic maneuver, so it's going to be 4 forward or hard 3 on this platform, or perform a red action, which could be target lock, barrel roll, boost, or even a red evade action if you got debris gambit. If you have exactly 1 stress token, you may gain 1 strain token to remove that stress. So this is why I wanted to bounce to you guys about this one, because I think it is potentially very powerful because of the upgraded pattern analyzer. Let me get out of hyperspace. So in my list building here. So pattern analyzer combines with that great. So you do the hard 3 or the 4 forward, and you can take the pattern analyzer action, and then you take a strain and can do your regular action step. What does that, and even if you say you have engine upgrade on this guy, you could 4 forward focus, 4 forward focus because it's naturally white, and then you could take this strain and boost with an engine upgrade. What do you guys think about that?
It's a lot of actions for sure. Low initiative, so it's not too bad, but I think it is costed higher for the reason of you have pattern analyzer on it and you have the intuitive interface. There's an easy chance for 3 actions on the single ship at the cost of 1 strain and not even a stress.
Yeah, which means nothing because you have 1 agility anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, like I'm a Y-Wing. I'll take damage, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Does it want the wartime loadout, or does it not?
See, that's the biggest question of all, Marcel.
Yeah,
you get up no, but it's
if you want to shoot a
the
missile.
ability. Yeah, the ability is more like K-turn. Like it's
well, K-turn doesn't work with it. It has to be a red basic maneuver, so it needs to be. And K-turn's not a basic.
Okay.
That was one of the first words that deterred me from looking at this and immediately start putting it in every list possible because of 5K with pattern analyzer and not getting stressed seemed pretty good.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So this is like I said, I mean, all of these Y-Wings have abilities that either give rerolls, get free calculates, pass a calculate to somebody. So they are like very modifier intensive, which is good to see on an attack platform of only 1 agility. So we'll be interested. And Marcel, you brought up the best question of all, which is wartime or no wartime? Because you do lose that intuitive interface, which is their base chassis ability. After you perform an action, add to your action bar by a talent, illicit, or I was going to say engine upgrade, modification, you get to perform a calculate action. So primarily looking at targeting computer for white locks into calculates, engine upgrade for white boost into calculates. You obviously have expert handling, so you can get a white barrel roll. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no illicits that are actions added to your action bar.
Nope.
Okay.
No.
So that's future proofing for right now. But I think I covered all of those, except for debris gambit. If you are next to an obstacle, you can do a white evade action.
Wait, illicit?
Yes.
Yeah,
You're going to say cloaking device, but I'm going to say that's not on your action bar.
It doesn't give you. It allows you to do a cloaking action with specific restrictions on the card, but it doesn't actually give you an action bar added on with the cloaking icon.
Gotcha.
Yep. It is the one we are thinking would work for a long time, but it does not. All right, so let me run through the rest of these pilots here. I went through. I want to mention the other I2, which is a pilot we've seen recently released in the T-70, Kai. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not hearing a lot of disagreement from Kai.
Kai Theranali. I'll go with that. That works.
Sure. And it has the ability to after you fully execute a maneuver, if you move through a friendly ship, you may perform an evade action. So not really like a lot of synergy there, but evade is always good. So those are the more pricier ones. The lesser two, or excuse me, I think the only one I didn't cover then was Chorus Kalim, which allows you to, before you engage, you can basically steal a token from somebody, but it's only I1. Very powerful if you have like swarm tactics or something, or if you just want to steal calculate from a buddy. Very good. Interesting that that's the only I1 in this chassis. As a note, only importance document says it because it didn't change in the tracking, but there is a big difference between whether you're the blue or the red Y-wing, between whether you have an illicit or you have double modifications. So we see like Zori has illicit and mod, and so does, I believe, Chorus also has a single mod and an illicit, and then the Spice Runner as well. So those are all the ones with illicits, and then you have all of the rest of them just have double modifications instead. All right, so now I'm breaking them down for a second for those who haven't really been diving deep into them. Let's bring up Wartime Loadout, which starts at 4 points. I do want to talk about Wartime Loadout, because then we're going to get into the conversation of whether you bring Wartime Loadout or not. Or I want to hear your guys' opinions on it. So Wartime Loadout takes away that free calculate shenanigans, gives you torpedo and missile. It gives you white target lock, white reload, does take your modification slot in addition to the configuration, but instead of the free calculate stuff, you have now the ability to where the defenders in your bullseye cannot cancel your critical results. And the main thing, I don't know if I said it, because there's a lot of things going on with it, but it gives you 2 shields as well, going from 7 to 9, which I believe is the most health of a small base in the game right now.
Yep.
Pretty crazy. You could even boost that up to 10 because a lot of these have double mod slots. So obviously there's some synergy if you bring like marksmanship, if you want to rock proton torpedoes as well. It's another way to get some crits. Advanced proton torpedoes, pretty easy to get somebody range 1 in your bullseye. So I want to bounce this one to you guys. What are you thinking about? Are you trying to go for the extra actions with the calculate, or are you trying to bring the Wartime Loadout? Which do you think we'll see rise to the top?
I think the Wartime Loadout, because the other ones, in order to take advantage of the actions, you're throwing extra points on the upgrades as well, whether it's expert handling or engine upgrade or whatever it is. So you're already throwing extra points on there in order to do that, and you're doing it essentially to give yourself a double modded. So you're going through a lot to get a double modded either ion turret shot, or a double modded 2-die attack from your primary, because you don't have the torpedo, I believe, or you don't have the ordnance. So correct. It's a lot. Yeah, it's nice to have a double modded shot on a 1 agility ship that only has 7 hull, that is not shooting any ordnance, maybe just dropping a bomb. This gives you the two shields just by themselves. Again, on one agility ship. If I'm not mistaken, it's 3 points each, maybe more, 5.
Yep.
3.
They're 4 points for shield.
Okay, so that's 8 points on shields alone value. And then on top of that, you get in the white target lock, which is the targeting computer equivalent. You're getting the torpedo and the other slot. And then on top of that, if you want to get that ability from their native ability, you've got the Watchman droid or whatever it is. Basically, the one that if you change
The
the direction of
Watchful
your turret-
Astromech.
Thank you. So you can still get, guarantee that when you move your turret, you're getting your calculate through that upgrade. So again, it's more expensive because if you're doing this way, you're probably loading some type of ordnance on it. But how many of these have EPTs, elite pilot talents? Because
all of them except let's see, the
very
Kimji Spice
generic,
Runner.
right?
Kimji Spice Runner doesn't have it. Chorus, the Palab Light, Shaza, and Wilsa.
Okay, so that's marksmanship on any of those. So you can throw just any. You don't have to worry about what type of or ordnance. You don't have to put an advanced proton torpedo or a proton torpedo on those, so you can get a cheaper missile on there, or cheaper missile on there, and it'll still not be able to cancel the crits. So anyway, I just think it's way too much value in the wartime loadout for just 4 points.
Well, I gotta bounce it to you, Ryan. Where is the advantage of the intuitive controls?
Intuitive interface. I mean, it's allowing, because most of the time, every Y-Wing we've ever played with has gotten one action ever in its normal action step. This is the first type of ability that has allowed it to gain 2 without any outside additional ship synergies. So built-in chassis is realistically one of the better base chassis abilities in the game. Is giving you the chance for double mods, which is pretty rare as a chassis. Obviously, the problem that occurs is this is a 7 health only, 1 agility small base ship. So you don't have the normal Y-Wing 8. And obviously, as Marcel already mentioned, 4 points for just gaining 2 whole shields is dirt cheap. Like, that is a steal in overall HP value. I wasn't expecting Wartime Loadout to be that cheap, to be quite honest. And I think actually most of the prices for the base Y-Wings are a little more than I expected, especially the base generic at 31, because every other Y-Wing generic is either, I think, 29 or 30. And this has less health than all of the other ones, while, as I mentioned, having one of the best chassis abilities in the game, I think. So it's a balance. We'll have to see how it works. The problem is everything I've normally built out with these ships, they've come close to low named T-70s like Bastion and Nimi. They're getting at like barely close to that just mid to low 40s, where it's like, well, if I spend like 2 or 3 more points, I have Bastion or Nimi. So maybe Wartime Loadout is the way to go, because you might only bring one of these Y-Wings and just make it as much of an alpha strikey ship as possible, likely being Zori Bliss. I think Zori's a prime candidate for Wartime Loadout because I-5 torpedo carrying seems like a pretty good strategy when you can double mod from your friends. So what likely shows up the most is probably Wartime Loadout, but not because it's in quantity, because it's in quality of what you're bringing. Even though intuitive interface on a mass level, if you have multiple of it, could have a better wide-ranging effect for your squad.
One of the issues that I have, though, is what is the function of the Y-Wing in list building for the Resistance? Like, what does it have? Okay, so it can carry torpedoes. We have an X-Wing that can do that. Or we have X-Wings can do that.
Poe's really good at that.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It has a turret, sure. I mean, the ion cannon is maybe that's it. Like an ion cannon, if you want that in a list, is potentially where you end up getting some value. But other than that, like I don't see the value. Like we said, Zori seems interesting because she's a standalone ship. Aftab Akbar potentially could be something as like a resistance salad. My biggest issue though is you pointed it out, Ryan, is when you start kitting these out for them to be optimized, they start hitting that price. You're like, well, why don't I just have an RZ2 A-wing? Why don't I just have an X-wing?
Yeah, especially when I'm trying to put together like Lega, Shaza, or Akbar, the named ones that for only 2 to 3 points over a generic is well worth that investment normally, because the abilities are so good that by the time I kit them out with, say, engine or expert handling or targeting computer plus a turret that has, at least dorsal. And I think I probably should have a bomb in there because it feels like I feel like I'm having some amount of utility for the ship to do something other than just shoot with double mods. Because there are quite a lot of T-70s that could shoot really easily with double mods, being Nimi and Bastion, that are already 47 base. So it's like, where are they actually providing additional help that isn't already there in the overall firepower and modification that the Resistance T-70s have? And I think, like you mentioned, maybe the ion control with ion cannon turret and the bombs for that auto damage might add that certain level of like hurting that the T-70s only can do with their front firing arc just being, don't be here because I have double mods.
And let's be real. I mean, they're in a faction where if they're getting up in that 40-point range, to your point, you're just going to take T-70 because it's way better. And
I mean, or A-wing at that point.
That's what I was gonna say. If you're in the mid 30s,
yeah.
if you're in the mid 30s range, then you're gonna take an A-wing. Merle with intimidation is way better than any of these.
Yeah,
Merle, intimidation, and automated targeting priority. And if you want to keep them base dirt cheap, like let's say Shaza at it's native points, you're better off taking Finn or Rose with C-3PO. There's better options for all of these. They're not bad ships, and it's not 9 hull is nothing to laugh at. It's just that,
well, in the cases what we're talking about, it's only 7 hull or 7 health, which is what T-70s already have with a whole other agility.
Yeah, so they're in a faction where they're just other things that are better than them, and even the transports are probably better than them as support ships. So if you want a support ship, the transports will probably do a better job than they are. So I think they're not dead on arrival, but they don't give you the best value for their points when you look at the options that are available in the 40s and the 30s or in the 20s.
Yeah, their identity is going to struggle where, like, people when they list build with these are really going to have to find a reason to bring these Y-Wings, which is kind of unfortunate. Like, it's a new ship, you want to just play it, which go ahead. This is discovery stage. You might find that reason.
Dude, Zori with whatever you want on her and Wartime, like, do it up. Like, I was rocking R4, Wartime, Ion, Turret, and Proton Torpedo, a 63-point Y-Wing that I laughed at. I was like, well, this is silly, but whatever. We'll figure it out. Until Zori's, like, boosting and barrel rolling before a dial, like, in reaction to people trying to move up and block her. Like, Zori will do just fine in like I-5 alpha strikes, things like that. I'm just concerned about non-wartime loadout ones, whether they have a place or not. I mean, I will say, after getting some table time with these things, the best thing about them is that boost. Oof, that really changes the ship from flying just really like any interceptor class ship, and then you move to like a B-wing or something, right? Where you're just like, oh man, I'm literally half the speed as the other ship. So these Y-wings, I think that's the best thing about them. I mean, the health is great, but a lot of ships have a lot of health. But a small base boosting turret, I mean, that sounds like a hawk to me. So, and I like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that. That's one thing we haven't mentioned is the value of that boost and the dial that's just better, and pilots like Akbar that can do even more over the top of that. So them getting around and keeping those turrets threatening is much more applicable.
Yeah, Akbar's surprisingly quick with a 4-4 boost. Pretty good. Pretty good. We'll see what the elicits have to do with as far as what the best elicit for them is. Obviously, there's a lot of competition right now between like contraband cybernetics for those big 5Ks. You got false transponder codes because you like target locking. And then the new overtune modulators where you can just get a bunch of calculates. With those extra calculate synergies, I can see something on there. I haven't thought about a cloaking device one. Just flying around bombing?
Maybe.
That
Dang. I didn't think about cloaking device on them either.
yeah. Who would? I don't know. I mean, that's like I said, they're kind of up in the air right now, but I think
Marcel's not convinced.
no.
Nah,
Probably
give
not.
me Count Zubio with that better. I mean,
Well, I mean, so
29
like-
points.
So
like,
well, hold on,
yeah.
like you said, Akbar is strangely fast with that 4 straight. What if you want to set up Akbar behind enemy lines early? 2 straight decloak, 4 straight maneuver
well.
boost. I am behind you with an ion cannon turret now, sir.
Let me caveat that only Corvius, the I1 who steals stuff, the Spice
Oh, that's
Winner
right.
generic,
Akbar
and
doesn't have
Zari Bliss. I mean, but Zari Bliss decloaking into range 1 of you to get a red focus token to hard 2 and behind you to take a lock.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
out.
Story Bliss does not have to be friendly ship to perform that action. It could be from an enemy.
Nope. But Dion, you got any final thoughts on the Y-Wings?
Yeah,
before we
well,
move on?
one of the things we actually were talking about in the pre-show, and Tommy Adams actually brought it up in the chat as well, is one of the things directly connected to this Y-Wing is the fact that the cost of engine upgrade did go up from 2 to 3. Right? So
That's true.
that limits some of the spammability with boosting turrets that you can have in the Resistance. Because if it was still at 2 points, I think we end up having, what would it end up being? Could you fit ion cannons in there? 5?
No. I mean, you could fit 5 right now with Ion Cannon engine upgrade. Easily. You can even take the New Republics, the I3s, if you would want. You can take 5 of them right now. Is that a spam list that I particularly want to fight against? No, but I'm glad it's only 4, not 5 Y-Wings. Or excuse me, I'm glad it's 5 and not
5, not 6.
6.
And you get no bombs on them. That's just
Yeah, no bombs. And it's only 5, and you'll probably lose one of them in like, maybe not the first engagement, but pretty close to it. I mean, I think to me, white engine upgrade, or you know what I'm trying to say, white boost is the only reason I'm taking the intuitive interface to still get a calculate Y boost. Other than that, I'm not really sure. I don't know if it has that much value, but we'll find out. I'm sure someone's got a secret sauce plan with their lists, some sort of crazy salad combination.
I'll be on the hunt for Hoth. Like I wanna see.
You bring in some weird Y-Wings. We're gonna put you on.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Listen, you know what?
Look.
I am willing. If I'll put a limit on it. If somebody can like win 4 games or more with any Y-Wing not named Zori or Akbar, I will refund you your ticket. Okay, like there's a challenge there, like because I'm just not convinced. I'm like, there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
Not even the I1 chorus that's kind of Paylob or Lega that's got that rerolls with friendly ships with calculates in front of them.
It becomes like a Rune Goldberg machine, though. You're spending points to do the thing, to get the thing to work.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do think, though, as a note, maybe this is a tip for somebody. 4 of them and a targeting synchronizer pod could be pretty interesting with that wartime loadout, being able to shoot some munitions early. But we'll see.
Just to caveat myself, I'll limit that to like 3 people, just in case. So the whole tournament doesn't show up with these Y-wings.
And it's like someone has to get this right.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. We'll see.
So it would be the
Don't
3
throw down.
highest placing Y-wings? Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, not named Zori.
Not named
Akbar.
Zori, Akbar.
Akbar.
Yeah, I'll put those 2. Those.
Yeah, those are probably the clear winners. There's a reason why. I'll say this much: when you are low initiative and you're priced higher than higher initiatives, there's probably a reason, and that is you're good. But let's before we warp the Hoth meta too much here, let's keep it rolling here, and we'll finish up there. I mean, that was the big topic, right? Though the new Y-wings. So we'll see what changes are made to the rest of the resistance in response. So let's move right on to the Fireball, which is down 1 point for Kaz, Jerk, and R1J5 Bucket, because I never remember his real name. Those all go down 1, and in addition to that, as a note, the Kaz's Fireball went down 1 point as well. So essentially get free title now, which I think is cool. Like, if you're flying these named ones, you're probably not flying them in a swarm of other Fireballs. So it is very cool to see that named, like Kaz's Fireball flown by Kaz. So I think that's really it for them. I mean, a small decrease. I think Kaz is still good. I think we should see more Kaz, but we just don't for some reason. It's that same high 30s point cost that we just talked about for the Y-wings.
Yep.
But like you got A-wings, you got generic T-70s all slotted in about that same price. So anyways, moving on. The Colossus station mechanic stays at 26 points. Technically, it probably went up because we most of the time saw them with tracer missiles.
Mm-hmm.
So no change needed for them. So let's move on to the Star Fortresses. MG100 Star Fortress. These are already, we need a good name for it, but compressed between like their lowest possible cost and their highest initiative cost, right? Like what quad jumpers are essentially. But we have the Cobalt remains at 51 points, so you can't run 4 of these guys. But Cat goes down, so does Vinny. Ben Teen, which is the one that gives you the rattled condition, stays the same price.
Can I say that I'm like, what? Why? Who has ever seen Ben Teen out there rattling people to be like, no, you don't get a reduction. You just out there rattling. No.
Is he I4? Is he I4? Is that why? Is he? Let me double check. I think he's just I3 though. Yeah, he's
I3.
just I3. I don't know. Maybe it was something like thermals. Like thermals and seismic still work on him. They don't need to. You just have to be near the bomb when it explodes to be rattled. But I agree with you, Dion. Let the rattler out to play. And then we see, I mean, just that kind of compression as well with Paige, Finch, and Edon all going down to 55 points. I think Paige is the clear winner there. Her I5 with her talent slot is very cool. She can bring heroic or swarm tactics. But yeah, I mean, there's a 4-point difference between Paige and a Cobalt. So they really, really want you to fly one of these named pilots. And I think that's the consensus I think we've overall seen, that generics have a bottom, whereas or a floor, I would say, but all of the ceiling is going down for all other ships, or excuse me, all other named pilots of that chassis. Will we see them? I don't know.
I don't get why they're so. I mean, I know they're bad, and I know that
they are not bad.
But that's no. I mean, they're bad in relation. Like nobody flies them, and when they do, maybe only Benny ever makes it anywhere.
Sure.
But like, I'm trying to think why. I mean, they're 12 health with 1 agility. So they have
270-degree arc as
that.
well.
They have the biggest arc in the game. Period. They've got a 3 native attack dice out of the front, 2 dice out of both sides, and then they probably have a bomb coming out of the back. So they're really the only ships that are protected 360. And again, they can hit hard. You can throw veteran turret gunner on there. It's not too expensive on it anymore. Veteran turret gunner went down. I mean, why are they like? What's wrong with them?
I think because they feel bad, because they're so unmaneuverable and they only have the 1 agility. And if you are only shooting the side arc, you're only shooting 2 attack dice. So like all that qualifies or combines into a ship that's just a liability, unless you're trajectory launching bombs, which I feel like a lot of people just don't want to do. It's like not that it's bad, but it's like it feels bad. Just be
even with
launching.
the trajectory launching bombs, it still makes your front arc essentially the only really dangerous spot on the ship. And as you add more things because none of these pilots have any way to really modify their attack dice. It's just bomb effect stuff, and I think one that adds a dice if there's a bomb still there, so still bomb related. So because of that, these platforms that are pretty expensive once you add all that stuff onto have a hard time getting back their cost and trading with something of equal value. In what this ship only really ends up doing is trading like space denial wise, both with your large base and the bombs that affect the area. So you have to be really good at maximizing that potential, because just on sheer firepower alone, you're rarely ever going to get your points back that you spend on this ship.
Yeah,
You need
it
to
suffers.
find a way to use it to herd other things and make the rest of your squad more effective in doing their damage.
This ship suffers from look at all these slots syndrome. Look at all these slots. Look, I just gotta fill them. All right, and then all of a sudden you're stuck with a 100-point Star Fortress, and now you're like, all right, now do the rest of the list.
I own 2 of these things. I've only ever flown one time ever, and I own 3.
I mean, I don't know. I think if you put like Finch with like thermals, I know thermals went up, but like they're really not that bad. They're just a liability out there. Like they're not the star of the show. I don't know. Have you seen The Last Jedi? Because that's what happens almost all the time.
Unless you're Vinny. Vinny's the only one I've ever seen go like, you see it on the table, you're like, all right, I gotta watch out because it's really defensive, but I'll just kill everything else and leave that for last.
I mean, maybe like a Vinny combined with some Ion Y-Wings, because Vinny likes other people's turret arcs.
Yeah,
we
you're
could
right.
start to see some things, some combinations there. I mean, maybe that's why Benteen, is that his name? I already forgot. I just call him the Rattler. Benteen. Maybe that's why his price didn't go down, is because now the the Resistance have more bomb options with the new Y-Wings coming in. So maybe there's some synergy there. Who knows? Well, we could find out maybe at Hoth. Oh wait, no, Hoth is cyberspace. Rip. Get out of here. Sorry, fortresses. What? Oh yeah,
That's
Scarif,
Scarif.
exactly. All right, well, let's keep it rolling though, because there's another big change in the next chassis, which is the Resistance Transport. We see Kova stay the same price. Nodin, who is the extra actions while coordinating, go up to. Pam Mitch goes up 1 point. That's like, what, you take actions while doing red maneuvers or something like that. What's the ability say to him?
While you have 2 or fewer stress tokens, you may execute red maneuvers even while stressed.
Cool. You really like stopping and backing up. Go for it. Then we see the logistics pilot go up to cost to 34 points. And now everybody who doesn't know the spoiler is like, why are these things going up? I've never even seen these played. And it's because they recently received a second cannon slot, which allows them now to take the synced laser cannon. Synced laser cannon is a 3-dice gun, range 2 to 3. And if you're calculating that the defender does not apply the ranged bonus, because they get a crew slot, they can get calculates between it's at PZ4C0, which is normally a support ship where you can give your calculate or focus token off to another ship, but it does give you the calculate action. But most likely you're going to combine it with C3PO, who can give you either 2 calculates, or while coordinating, you also get a calculate. So we've seen a lot of C3PO Nodens around. So you get a lot of actions there. You can coordinate, calculate, and target lock all in one action. Pretty powerful now that they get that native 3 dice attack through the synced laser. And the comparison between synced laser and plasma torpedo is astounding to me. Plasma torpedo, only 2 charges, requires the lock, and it still has that same 3 dice range 2 to 3. I mean, this seems like a dumb question, but would you guys ever take plasma over synced laser now?
Well, I mean, on a ship that can't take the laser, and it also, I mean, it is that additional shield is, I mean, that
big deal.
turns it into a 4 die, I mean, a potential 4 damage attack. Now, my question, I know why.
Hold on, I need not on a lower initiative ship. That's the
that's the problem. Is the Padmitch is doing too many red maneuvers to ever take target locks.
Yeah, the lock action is obviously what restricts ships on the plasma torp, but obviously also the plasma torp has the doesn't give range bonus. Obviously the sync laser cannon has a way to not do the same thing, but it's more conditional in that regard.
So
the safer bet, if you can take either one, is going to be synced laser cannon. But the higher potential output, I think, still is plasma torpedo.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, I know what, they bumped these up, the bottom ones, to 34, and the sync laser cannons to 7. So they're at 41. So they're basically comparable to a B-Wing at 41. And essentially what they're trying to do is prevent you to do, because they're both 8 health and 3 attack die guns and 1 agility. I mean, very similar, and they're essentially trying to prevent you from putting 5 of these on the board. Is kind of what they're toying with. What I don't get is, why are they still toying that line of, no, we can't put 5 of these on the board, when you can already put 5 X-Wings on the board or 5 K-Fighters on the board, which are 5 ships that can roll 3 attack dice. And they have 6 health, but those 6 health with an additional agility probably end up playing out better than the 8 health with 1 agility. And they're more maneuverable. They've got the Talon rolls and the long K turns. So I would take 5. You can take 5 initiative 3 X-Wings, and you can't take 5 initiative 2 B-Wings. Or initiative 2 of these resistance transports. So I don't get what the
Don't worry, Marcel. Neither do I. The questions of a generic swarm player, you are asking one of them right now for me. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate your concern for our well-being.
I'm just saying, I don't see why a B-Wing needs to be 41 when an X-Wing is 38.
JD really, I think, nailed it here. The B-Wing comparison, I think, is spot on, except for the range 1 4 dice attack, obviously. And these logistics have a natural coordinate action. So you could really get some fun shenanigans going on. But they don't barrel roll, though, so I don't know. We'll see.
Don't barrel roll, but have reverses and 0 stops. It's
I mean, I'll say this much. I think we can all agree that synced laser might actually get these guys back into play. Except for Noden.
I saw sync laser cannon and I was like, logistics division pilot? Maybe? Because it's one of those, if you have other things in the list that are more, I'm going to say, distracting, and you just got your little logistics division going 3 dice, pew, 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 3 dice, pew, 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 pew. All of a sudden, if you got other things that are threatening, that might be value.
I mean, I'm totally in on Noden you should probably throw the R4 astromech in there. 51-point Noden, who can shoot 3 dice every round, either has 2 calculates, either has 3 calculates, or target lock calculate and is coordinating every round. Oof. All right, now you might need Corcella too. I don't know. You might need Corcella actually, in addition to that, but.
Yeah, Corcella, Sync Blazer, C3PO, and R4, 57-point noted job tree.
I mean, that's like, I mean, you're hitting harder than most people and you're coordinating at the same time. So
it does
that
become
makes
a
sense.
coordinator that has an effective gun. Yes.
Yeah, so maybe we'll see. I don't know. I mean, this also might be a dumb question. Is there any reason to bring a jamming beam and a tractor on these guys? Is double cannon just for synced laser?
I think it's just for
Or
sync.
whatever other future cannon might be double cannon.
Yeah, I'm in on more double cannon slots. All right, well, it's definitely the strangest ship, I think. Paying 2 extra points or so for that double cannon. And as a note, Kova doesn't change because Kova doesn't even need the cannon. Kova just does red move. Doesn't really care. So, but speaking of transports, the transport pod is next up here. 2 big changes to this pilots for the ship. We see Finn going up by 2. And let's actually, we haven't really talked about this, but if you can, Dion, show me the price of heroic.
Heroic
Previously,
went up.
yes. Well, yes and no. That heroic originally was 1 cost, and then they priced it at 2 points for 3 agility ships, and then now they're just like, you know what? 2 points for everybody. So whereas Finn had been only paying 1 point, as a note, always put heroic on Finn. It's kind of his thing when he adds a blank die. So he really went up 3 points as a note to a 34-point platform. Still very viable for what he does. If you ignore him, he hits really hard. If he needs to eat 1 attack, he does so very well. So, but just a note there that his price is pretty much up to 34 points. And then here's the biggest one, I think, for a lot of lists is Rose Tico going up from 25 to 28 points. We normally see her with the C3PO, which is still 5 points. So that's now a 33-point ship, because that's how math works.
That's still a really good.
That's amazing value for coordinating. I mean, we were just talking about
Coordinating, calculate, and rerolls. Yeah.
Yeah, can you mod your own dice while coordinating? You are a good coordinator then. So I think she'll still show up, obviously, but we might see Vi and BB-8 make appearances as the C-3PO carrier now. So I'm excited to see other ships than Rose in Resistance lists. And probably there could be some potential there, especially with the new Y-Wings who like taking actions. So we'll see. Moving on to A-Wings, not a lot to talk about for A-Wings. That Lulo did go down. They haven't been watching Carson Ray's XTC run, that's for sure. But Lulo goes down to 40 points, which is now makes ZZ to low the most expensive A-Wing. Makes sense to me. Lulo's still great, but risky. Then the other change for A-Wings is Merle gets a 1 point increase, so now Merle's the same cost as a Blue Squadron recruit. Same thing that turns out Merle's ability, not a penalty. Does not seem as penalizing as one might think. In fact, very, very good. I'm surprised Merle didn't lose the talent slot, to be honest with you. I think.
Why would he?
I mean, to knock off intimidation Merles.
Oh yeah, but I mean, all A-Wings have double, so by them only having 1, that is kind of losing.
I guess so. Yeah, because he could never intimidate and heroic at the same time. So
Wait, what? Oh, Intimidate Hero. Gotcha. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think we will still see Merle. If you were playing Merle,
for
at
sure.
one point, it's not going to dissuade you from that.
Especially now that we're building to 200.
Exactly, right? Like, should not be a problem. So let's see. Moving through here, we can skip through the YT 1300s, even though it says 1301, 1302, and 1303. Very confused by that. Just got that. Anyways, they're the same price. Rey's still great. Fantastic. Han Solo and Chewbacca still see play in more niche builds, but still see play. And then we get to another big change here with the T-70s. We got Poe Dameron. This is Trigger Happy Flyboy going down a point to just 61. The big change here is Commander Poe from the Heralds of Hope going down 5 points to 55, which is impressive to say the least. He can be a dedicated support ship if you're not familiar. I'm sure Dion's got it up there. Essentially, every other round, he lets the ship take 2 actions for a stress. Could be him, could be anybody at range 0 to 2, but it is every other round. I think we said at one point in time that I would rather still fly LO or 9 in that price point. What do you guys think about new Commander Poe?
You know, one of the things that I look at this ship, and if I try to look at it in a vacuum, I say, hey, this ability is pretty good, but we have such a warped perception of this Commander Poe because the Trigger Happy Flyboy exists. Like
and a lot of the Resistance faction has easy access to double mods without needing this Poe's help.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be my first question. Is like, who's desperate for that second action?
Poe.
I mean, sorry.
The only thing I thought
Poe.
about is the action chain you can create. Like, someone does an action, Poe says they get to do another action, and then Zori can pick either one of those 2 actions to do her thing off of.
Wait, speaking of action chains, and specifically red actions, does he combine with Akbar? Akbar says, after you perform a red action, okay. But then again, it's at Akbar's I2 and not Poe's I6.
A lot of what Poe
Oh, it doesn't
lost
matter about
is-
the initiative. It's after a friendly ship at range, so
Right.
it's when
It's
doesn't
when
matter.
that ship activates. So you're giving that ship that activates, whether it's himself or a friendly ship at up to range 2. So you're not getting any initiative advantage with the actions. You're just getting more actions.
So, I actually think it. I mean, if you're needing points, if you think about it, Poe. I mean, a ship doesn't need double actions every single turn. There's turns where those double actions, when you want to target lock focus, or you want to like barrel roll and guarantee a mod or something like that. Actually, that's a terrible idea because they already have barrel roll linked. But you get it. Like they want to boost and guarantee a mod. You don't need that every single turn. So it being every other turn is fine. I mean, you see Gamut Key being every other turn, and for the 6 points, it was well worth the every other turn having that additional token. So
I think the problem is like it's you're bringing a 55 point ship that is I6 who could use the ability for itself, but it's how much you're investing into that. Whereas you could just invest into other Poe or other things and just have a very cheap Rose with C-3PO.
I was just gonna say that, Ryan.
Yeah. Even a BB with C-3PO is 33 points. Like, and yeah, it's an extreme. Like, I get the I6. I mean, that can't be understated. But 14 more points than the generic, when most of the time you're just flying around single actioning. I don't know. Maybe there's something. Maybe Commander Poe does need like a BB droid or something, BB-8, to really trigger him off of. What that could be, I don't know. But let's keep it moving though, because I don't think there's a lot else to talk about that. We see Elo and 9 go down a point. I think these are fantastic ships. Elo with the 3 Talon rolls that are white, 9 Nub, who, once you put Pattern Analyzer on them, can really take a lot of actions while doing red maneuvers and clearing stress and stuff, flying over debris. But I think, like I said, though, it's that compression, though, that the generic T-70 is so good that Blue Squadron Rookie, that like everybody else needs to be pressed down to compete with its efficiency. We see one of the few pilots here, named pilots rather, which is Snap, which is the free boost, which is what Dion's showing right now, does go down in price, but the other Snap, referred to as Black 2. That's the flappy wings, strain and calculate one. We do see stay the same price. Those 4 T-70s with Timon have been nasty list, very effective. So not surprised to see them not go down. Just Pava stays the same. Also a ship that has natural double modification, very cool. So stays the same price. And then we get to the bottom of the barrel here. Carcoon, Jofsty Striker, Kai, and Nimi, and even Tubbs. Nimi is interesting to go down because I think Nimi is one of the better ones. Where if they're, Ryan, what's the ability? If you're shooting a ship with higher initiative, you get to change a blank to an eyeball. Is that right?
That should be correct. I'm double checking.
Yeah,
I think it's higher initiative than. Go ahead, Deal.
Yeah, why? So she's initiative 2. While you perform an attack, if the defender's initiative is higher than yours, you may change one blank to an eyeball result.
Yeah, Nimi. Maybe it's because like generics, we see more generics. I don't know. Nimi's a dice modification. If you could just hold on to that focus, is surprisingly good. So good. So to see her go down in price, or they, I assume it's a girl, but what do I know? To see that go down in price is very interesting because now it's the same price as Bastion, who's the one who got free locks when a damaged ship is around. So overall, I think positive changes for the T-70. The ones that were good stayed the same price, and the ones that need a little bit of help went down. Let's check on the black one Untitled, though. Did it stay the same price? No, it went down from 5 to 4. So and same thing with, the overdrive thruster that you put on the T-70s also stayed the same price. 7 on I-5s, 8 on I-6s. We don't really see it much on anything else other than that. Surprisingly effective on 9-nub. To do those big boosts to get into range 1 to clear the stress. I think that covers the T-70s. So I'll move on to their upgrade slots here. We see BB-8, the named BB Astromech, overall go down some. It says -1. Oh, I see it here. It goes down. Wait, no.
No, I think that might be a mistake on our part.
I think that one is a mistake.
I think I modified that. I looked at what it was before and what it was now. It did go down by 1 in some of the later initiatives. Like it used to be 8 on Poe.
I'm double checking right now. Let's see what Yasby says. Yasby reads it
Yasby
as...
has all the new stuff. Yasby doesn't have the old points, just the new ones.
Oh, I understand. Okay, well...
You have to look at the old points documents if you can find it.
Yeah, it's still 7 for Poe, 6 for everybody else in this kind of... is whatever your initiative is, essentially. Which is, as a note, 1 more point than... Oh, that's where the confusion is. So BB-8, who gives you the option to boost when you spin the charge, is 1 more point than your initiative, where the generic BBs are the cost of your initiative. Normally see them on the BB, call them BB Blues, as I normally see it on the Blue Squadron X-Wing. Oh, that's the other thing I was thinking about for the X-Wings. We see the underslung blaster cannon go down a point to just 2 points. Not utilized enough. It's a very interesting upgrade, especially on, I think, Bastion and Poe, where you can getting multiple actions or free locks. But we don't see it in play. Let's see, who else went down? M9G8. That's the lock. Lock a friendly, they get rerolls, or lock an enemy, and then you can reroll like their hits if you want. Let's see, then GA97. It's the resistance, isn't it?
Yep.
It's the resistance. Not utilized since Worlds 2019 and Ryan's Space Jam run in early 2020. So maybe we'll get a little bit more. It's the resistance here. Maybe sandbagging a Y-Wing? Does that mean anything to you guys?
I'll just have Zori come out of hyperspace or something. It'd be
Sure.
very thematic for episode 9.
Yeah, that's true. Very episode 9.
I think the chat's mentioning, you didn't mention the new astromech layer or Larry. L4ER5.
All right, let's talk about Larry. I did skip over it in my BB confusion. Let's see what Larry does. That's the obviously unique. His name's Larry, but adds rotate into calculate. At the start of the engagement phase, you may transfer 1 calculate token to a friendly ship in your firing arc, which you probably have multiple of because you have a rotate action. I mean, this just goes right in hand with all the Y-Wings that love passing tokens and asking if people have calculates and stuff like that. But once again, though, this just like that watchful astromech is another way for these Y-Wings to get calculates anyways outside of their intuitive interface. So, where are you putting Larry, Brian?
I think the big one that stands out is Lega. Because Lega wants friendly ships to have calculates in its arc to get rerolls.
Okay. That's smart. That's
So
smart.
if someone else needs to calculate more than Lega, Lega can take the calculate from its interface if it already barrel rolled, boosted, locked, whatever, throw it off to a friend, and then take advantage of it still itself. As long as it's still calculating. So Lega ideally, they either want to shoot simultaneously to have shot order control, or that ship with calculate would shoot after.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm waiting to see the squad that like synergizes all the calculating and the rerolls and the passing and the calculates. I don't know what that is, but I'm excited to find out what that list entails. So let's see, what else do we have here? We see Leia go down, which is a boon for Kova, which is where you normally see that Leia double crew.
So Kova did go down a point.
Kova did go down a point, turns out. So that's good. Kova's always been good, but like...
Oh, Kova went down a point, but if you took heroic, Kova stayed the same.
Heroic went up.
True
Remember, yeah. Heroic going up to 2 points for everybody. A hotly debated card. I still don't know if that's worth it or not, but at least I'm second guessing it now. Now I'm not just slapping it on to everybody who's got a talent slot, right? Now I'm looking at Predator or marksmanship or other things, composure, whatever. So at least it's a decision now. Let's see. We have Ray Gunner going down, which I think we only see on like Han and Vinny. So
Speaking of on Han, though, so Ray Gunner is 10. Throw that on Han, makes him 72, which is only 4 more points than Ray, who now has a higher initiative shot, can use the turret in any zone and not just the front, and get a very Ray-type accurate effect. Not have the Finn crew for a more dice unless you take trick shot.
yeah,
Just as modified.
my Hans normally have Corcella and Trick Shot, so I could just blue maneuver right onto a debris.
Yeah.
But Ray, I mean, I agree that if you have the option to choose Ray or Han, I think I'd always go with Ray. But so to compress that down, where the Han with Ray is interesting. Let's see. What is the last one here? Last one on our list is Ferrosphere Paint, which has had quite the journey, by the way. Started at 6 points because we thought it was going to be good. Ferrosphere Paint is a tech that says after an enemy ship locks you, if you're not in that ship's front arc, or excuse me, if you're not in that ship's bullseye, that ship gains 1 stress token. Will Ferrosphere see play at all?
I already see it. It's usually on Poe, like on the overdrive, like 90-point Poe. They usually throw it on there just to keep them alive a little longer.
Makes sense. Because if they're stressed now, it's easier to loop around them.
If you're a resistance player and you're seeing a lot of E-wings, maybe this is at least a little bit of tech. Slow them down a little bit.
I don't know.
Not really, because they're locking you turn one.
It's like turn 1, turn 2, do a blue.
Yeah, same thing with like droids. Like they have maneuvers to figure out ways to clear stress before combat. So
it's mainly combating your tracers and your false transponder codes.
Which
And
both
just
went
in
out.
general, and just in general, alpha strikey lists that have to actually take a lock action in the same turn they'd like to shoot you.
We'll see. We'll see if it gets play at 3 points. And then we talked about
50% discount.
I mean, that's from where it started. Yeah, that's a huge discount.
Used to be 6, I think.
Yep. And it was unplayed at that point. So then we talked about Black One and Kaz's Fireball. Ray stays the same. So that's a total of only a negative 31. Which is
Did you talk about Babu?
Oh, I don't know if we talked about Babu in the generic, but we can. Let's pull up that Babu.
It's
Babu is
listed
actually
for Scum and Resistance.
Yeah, it wasn't talked about in Scum.
It probably was, but
This is a new episode.
New episode. Babu
this is a
Frick.
podcast, not an episode.
Exactly.
I'm
anyways.
panicking. Give me a moment. Looking for it.
You're okay. It's not on the. While you're scrambling for it, can I pause and ask? Is the official builder up? Because I see Dylan's trying to find it.
It's up.
Like,
it's up, but it's deprecated. Like it's it's not. Like I'm just using it for the pictures. That's it.
no, I understand that.
Yeah.
But like, is the new stuff on the official builder?
No. No,
Okay.
and
Well,
it's the
that's
old
sad.
points too.
That's super sad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about Babu though. Babu, as mentioned here, Scum and Villainy or Resistance. He is an illicit. He's just a little guy, so you could fit into anywhere. No crew slot needed. Babu has an ability which reads: before you would gain a non-lock red or orange token, you may spend 1 charge to place it on this card instead. During the system phase, if there are 1 or more tokens on this card, you must spend 1 charge. If you cannot, remove these tokens and gain the matching tokens. So let's non-lock red tokens. We got Stress, Strain, Deplete, Ion. Sounds about right.
Yep.
Didn't hear a correction there.
Disarm.
Well, these are orange tokens. You have the orange token of Disarm, Tractor, Jam. Is there another orange token?
I think that's it for now.
Orange?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when you receive one of these, you have to spend 1 of these charges. And if you don't spend all of the charges in a single round, say you did a red reload action and you don't want the disarm or stress, you could spend 2 charges off of Babu, and then the next system phase you're going to spend the 3rd charge, and then now in the third round, you would then receive the stress and the disarm. This actually has a lot of applications because a lot of ships that deal with these orange tokens have illicits. We're talking about jamming, like Hawks. We're talking about tractor beam on quad jumpers. What's some other ones? Let's see. So maybe an electro proton bomb. You could get rid of the disarm from that as well. I think the big ones though are the disarm and stress for the red token. I tried it on the fireball. I think that's the only time I've put this on the board. I tried it on the fireball, so I wouldn't have to disarm or expose cards, and to still get rid of the disarms. But I think, yeah, we have Kyle, the scout here. This is really interesting on Zari, or Zori, excuse me, not Zari, the A-Wing, Zori, the Y-Wing, because you can use the Wartime Loadout reload to keep firing your munitions, say like an advanced proton torpedo. If you have friendlies who can lock around you, you can, for 2 rounds in a row, shoot these advanced proton torpedoes. Actually, I guess there'd be 3. You'd spend the initial one, you'd Babu Frick for 2 rounds, and then the 3rd round you're stuck with 2 weapons disabled. So this comes in at 7 points. What else? What screams out to you guys? Where is like the best application for this Babu Frick?
I don't know about the best, and it's a little expensive, I think. I think that's what's probably going to hurt it the most is just the price. I think it was priced a little bit higher than it needs to be. Sounds more like a 4 or 5 point upgrade.
But until you mix Jabba in with this thing.
It's really,
yeah, but Jabba went up to 11 though, so
Sure.
This is a really good upgrade though across the board.
It is.
You can use this.
But I think one of the most difficult things to deal with, and we talked about it, was the ion. So I think this is a really good upgrade for dealing with ion. The T-70s with Black One, for example, they want to do that, and they do have it. At least I don't know about all of them, but at least one or some of them.
None of them have illicit. No,
they
T-70s have illicit.
No,
the
just-
Y-Wing,
they have the tech.
You're thinking of the 65.
The Y-Wing, the
Yeah.
Fireball, and the Falcon have access to illicit.
Y-Wing, Fireball, and the Falcon. Yeah, maybe like William said, if you want to be able to on Kazuda be able to shed that.
Yeah,
disarm.
I think that's mostly like disarm for like reloading.
But 7 points for that, I don't know.
I think Babu might be costing 7 points for being part of the Scum faction. I don't think he's worth 7 in the Resistance faction, to be quite honest.
Where's our variable faction pricing? Come on.
Soon.
That actually would help. That actually would have helped Gleb stay
Yeah.
affordable for First Order and Imperial, because definitely
Right.
not worth that much in those factions.
I'm trying to think of, so the most abusive thing I've seen is definitely like Jabba YV666s, where this dude just doesn't have to move. It's like contraband on steroids at that point.
Just zero stop indefinitely.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
until 12 rounds is up, right? Because you got 3 charges for this, and the timing of Java gives you essentially 4 extra rounds. So, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if that even works that great, because you would gain it in the end phase and then lose it. So you'd actually still only be able to use it like 2 or 3 times, but you just would never take the tokens.
That's
I don't know.
ridiculous.
I think the only other thing I've seen on it is Forlom Crew. If you like Forlom Crew, you can. That's a way to self-ionize yourself. If you're, say, a medium base, you can do this twice in a row. So you shoot with Forlom, take an ion, lose a charge, right? Because the charge goes on Babu. The next round, you would lose a charge and then shoot again, and then essentially you end up with the 3rd round with like 4 or 5 ions, 6 ions, something like that. But I don't know. We'll see what the actual place for Babu is. I do think he's priced for Scum shenanigans right now. So we'll see. Maybe Unkar Plut, so you don't have to tractor yourself.
Oh,
I guess.
And then
Okay.
eventually you'll end up with like 4 tractors, but it doesn't matter. 'Cause
Hey, it doesn't
1 and
matter.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as it's 1, it doesn't matter. It's the same.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. Interesting card. I hate that it's given to Scum though. I love Scum, but come on.
it's
I
one of those.
agree.
It's one of those. It's one of those times where X-wing has the lore and balance problem, right? There's the only reason Babu Frick is in Scum, is available to Scum, is because of the lore. There's no other reason. Because you would argue that for balancing a game reason, you just don't even put it in the faction, right?
I've only ever seen Babu in a resistance fighter.
But he's a spice runner, man.
He's a
like
spice runner though.
the Babu.
I don't see him running a ship.
No, he just flies along with it. So I don't know. Maybe you know what I'm waiting for? All these cards only say Scum. Let's get an and villainy faction. Come on, let's go. Let's take all the wholesome stuff and we're gonna move to and villainy.
There you go.